right, guys, these are the slides, and this is part one. Slide one, the samurai in feudal Japan. If you look carefully to the right over here, this is a Japanese warrior. All right, over to our left heart, we talk about the samurai society. We have the emperor, notice where he's sitting. We have the shogun, which is a powerful military leader. The shogun ruled in the emperor's name. By the way, the emperor, of course, is a figurehead for the powerful or the most powerful shogun. Then we have the daimyo and the samurai. All right, they were powerful lords who often led armies of samurai. Samurai warriors served the shogun and daimyo. And then at the bottom here, we have the peasants. All right, most Japanese were poor peasants who had no power. So this is a type of political system that we're going to learn about. By the end of these lessons, you should be able to describe the role of the samurai in feudal Japan, organize information from many different sources. All right, now we're going over to slide 3. Take a look at those photos. All right, and the first thing I want you to do is think about, what do you see in the images? Pause this audio and take a good look and determine that. All right, slide 4. Think, in what ways do these images represent culture? What do you think about culture and how do they represent? Pause the video again and think about this question. All right, same, number 5. So pause the video after I talk. Think, what do these images tell us about Japanese culture? All right, now we're going on to slide 6, and one more time. Same photos. Which of these images do you think would be the best representation of a samurai? Pause and think about it. All right, so we're going to move on to slide 7, and slide 7 is a brief history of feudalism. Slide 8, what is feudalism and what do the samurai have to do with it? So let's start by looking at the photo over here on the left side. There's our emperor, there's the shogun, there's the daimyo, the samurai soldiers, and then you have peasants, merchants, and artisans. Feudalism was a ranked class system where different types of people were considered more important than others. This was the type of political system Japan had from 1185 to 1867. That's almost 700 years. The different ranks or levels of the people were important to each other. Each level had a job. We're now at slide number 9. The emperor was at the top. This person represented the country and was the leader. As we mentioned earlier, the figurehead for the most powerful shogun. If we go down to slide 10, all right, so the second level here that this arrow is pointing to was called the warrior class. It was headed by the shogun or the general. The shogun commanded the daimyo or the captains, and the daimyo were in charge of the samurai, who were our warriors. So that's the second and third row here. Moving on, slide 11. The peasants were at the bottom. These people worked on the land, were skilled workers or merchants. All right, most Japanese were peasants. All right, and they were poor and had very little power. So the bottom rung here. All right, so slide 12. Again, there's our feudal society in Japan. If you look over on the left side, 1, 2, 3. Each of the levels needed one another to survive. The emperor provided leadership. The warrior class provided protection. Peasants farmed the land. Artisans designed and made goods to sell. And merchants sold goods that people needed. Slide 13. The samurai. The samurai were extremely skilled warriors who trained to protect Japan. Although they were very good at fighting, they were also very educated and spiritual. The samurai were very important to Japan during a time when there were dangers from other countries and when Japan needed to be protected. However, as time moved on, Japan didn't have as many enemies and the need for the samurai became less and less. Many men who used to be the samurai became government members. Their fighting skills became more of an art because they were no longer needed. Other samurai practiced this art of fighting, wrote poetry, painted, and meditated. So here's document A, slide 14, the Bushido Code, or the purpose. Slide 15, Yamago Soko, who was born in 1622 and died in 1685, wrote this document. The way of the samurai is placing himself under the control of his lord to follow absolutely until death. For samurai is nothing more important than the duty was a famous quote. So take a moment, pause the video, and think, what does this mean to you? For a samurai is nothing more important than duty. Now that you turn the video back on, slide 16, here's another quote. There are both major and minor matter to which the samurai must give his attention. And a second quote, in minor matters, such as dress, food, dwelling, he must live up to the best samurai traditions of good form. This is particularly true in connection with the training in the arts of war and with the use of armor. Slide 17. Among the major matter, there are the maintenance of peace and order in the world, the control of feudal states, mountains, forests, seas and rivers, farms and rice fields, temples and shrines. Slide 18. In addition, there is military command and organization, strategy in war and tactics in battle, the quartering or housing, all of those preparations for war which are the daily concern of the generals and officers. Think for a second, what are the duties of the samurai? Take a good look at it again, pause the video for a moment and think well. Slide 19. If one follows this approach, one will attain to a state of mind which success and fame are of no account, in which unselfishness and self-forgetfulness will be the rule. Take a moment to think about this quote. What are the qualities or traits that could describe a samurai? Pause the video. All right, so here's document B. Verse 21. This code was written from the point of view of a samurai who listens to his daimyo's commands. Here's the quote. One who is a samurai must before all things keep constantly in mind by day and night, for the morning when he takes up his chopsticks to eat his New Year's breakfast, to Old Year's night when he pays his yearly bills, the fact that he has to die. That is his chief business. If he is always mindful of this, he will be able to live in accordance with the paths of loyalty. He will enjoy a long life. Take a moment and think, why would a samurai say his chief business is to die?